And while we are waiting to start the webinar, just letting a couple of folks get logged in, if you don't mind in the chat, just letting us know where you are chiming in from. We would love to see where folks are located. I'm based in central Illinois, actually a town of Normal, Illinois, which is 45 minutes northwest of Champaign-Urbana, where the University of Illinois is located. But Suwan, if you want to put your location and then prospects, if you want to put in where you're chiming in from, that'd be great. We just love to see where folks are listening in from. So. Oh, let me. Oh, okay. All right. Hope everything is okay over around your way, Lisa. Definitely sending my thoughts to the folks out there. So one is in Atlanta, Georgia. Awesome. Any others? Don't be bashful. Feel free to put in where you're coming from. All righty. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Marcus Phillips, one of the associate directors for Gies graduate programs. I'll be your presenter today. Joined by two awesome folks on the staff. We have Amy Simpson, who is my colleague. She will be answering questions in the Q&A. And then we have Suwan, who is one of our student ambassadors, which will be answering questions as well in the Q&A, as well as in the chat. So we all are excited that you're here today. We have a couple more folks that just joined us. If you want to put in the chat where you're listening in from, that'd be great. We just love to see where folks are at. Thank you, Amy, for putting that in the chat. And so, yeah, just encourage you to if you have questions, definitely put those questions in the Q&A section. And so, if you have questions, you can scan the code, which is on the screen. And so, with your phone, you can just actually, scan the QR code and you can connect with our team. So certainly you can do so there. Just going to go through our agenda just quickly. So we're going to have a welcome, which I just did, and introductions. We're going to talk a little bit about the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, as well as the Gies College of Business. And then I'm going to just briefly touch on Gies Business Online. Then I'm going to do a program overview of the iMSA program, digging a little bit into the curriculum and content. And this is where you hear from Suwan, his experience as a student. And then lastly, we'll kind of go through some application tips and tricks. And then at the end, I will stop sharing and give you all a few minutes to ask questions about the program. So just want to kind of continue introducing myself. I worked in undergraduate admission for about 9 years actually. And so been about a year with Gies graduate program. So I really enjoy what I do. I really enjoy just connecting with professionals all over the world. And so now my new role is business development. And so connecting with organizations, corporations, just to bring awareness about our awesome online graduate and residential programs. So that's just a little bit about myself. Suwan, if you want to introduce yourself and let folks know where you're located and, what are you doing professionally and how far are you into the program?
Yeah, so my name is Sungwon Cho. I'm currently an iMSA student at University of Illinois. I'm located currently in Atlanta, Georgia, and this will be my third semester here at the iMSA program.
Awesome, great. Well, happy that you're here to answer the question. So if you have any processing questions, related to admissions or what have you, feel free to ask me or Amy, my colleague. But if you have like student experience or just questions about, the coursework and things of that nature, definitely Suwan is here to answer those questions. And so why choose the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign? I mean, there's various reasons. Number one, access is a big thing for us. We are a land grant institution. And so we are big believers in accessibility. And so we feel that our online degree programs, as well as certificates, are very accessible. We try to make them accessible as possible to expand access. And we'll talk about kind of like tuition and so forth later on in the presentation. Of course, Pulitzer Prize winners, we have quite a few, been highly ranked as well. So we just have a strong reputation across the board academically as one of the top public institutions in the U.S. In the world as well. And so, and we have a strong alumni base as well, almost 500,000 alumni, that are out there. So, so lots of reason to choose University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. But more specifically, the Gies College of Business, right? And so this is what you're here for, right? To listen to what we offer as far as a degree program with iMSA. And so, of course, our faculty are top notch, but consistently ranked as one of top faculty bodies, in the U.S. And so, so being able to attend a program like ours and just to learn from one of the best and brightest faculty members, or the best and brightest faculty members out there, I think is a real testament, to the research that our faculty do as well as the dean, the vision for the dean, and the commitment to teaching and learning, right? And so that's, I think, a huge selling point for our program. We have some awesome faculty members out there. We are an innovative business school. And so I'll talk about this here shortly, but the stackability, definitely innovation. We really try to innovate within our classes. We have a chief disruption officer that really looks at the trends, within online graduate education, and how can we, be ahead of the curve, right, when it comes to the curriculum content that we offer, as well as this technology and teaching and learning. And so Poets and Quants, which is, the most reputable online business website out there, definitely had us the top innovative school, in the decade. Along with, having the best MBA program, Dean of the Year. So a lot of great accolades consistently over the years with our programs. And so part of that, with our iMSA, I think one thing that really stands out is the fact that we were one of the first accounting departments in the U.S. to include data analytics into our curriculum, right? So this was made just with a close collaboration with our College of Engineering, which is one of the top engineering schools in the world as well. And so making sure that our curriculum is relevant, and in fact, we really stay relevant with our curriculum in terms of like CPA exam preparation. And so we will be adding. I know there's been some changes within the CPA, and so there's going to be a little bit more changes within taxation or what have you. And so we've added 2 classes in the spring of 2024 that will parallel with the requirements of the CPA exam. And so Accounting 405 is assurance and attestation. It offers a broad overview of the profession and the student's perspective placed in it. So additional content will include tasks that link more specifically to accountancy standards covered on the new CPA exam, and then Accounting 312, principles of taxation, and then 451, which is advanced income tax problems. So these are some new areas that will happen in the new CPA exam, and so we have classes that will tie directly to that, right? So we want to make sure our students are staying abreast, staying ahead of the curve in terms of preparation, not only for industry, but for CPA exam preparation as well. So just wanted to share that. But there's 3 tenets, to our programs that we feel like are high quality. Flexibility is number 1. Our program is 100% online, right? And so it's for those working professionals who do not have the time or maybe the energy to trek to campus, right? So there's no requirement to actually come to campus, which is great. And then the stackability piece as well. And so we will reach learners wherever they are in the educational journey. And then it's online by design. And so we started our MBA program before the pandemic, 2016. And so we had several years before the pandemic happened to make sure our infrastructure was in place and that our design was on purpose. We wanted to make sure we had the best and brightest faculty that were very effective in teaching online. So those are kind of like our three pillars. Sue Wan, what kind of drew you to our iMSA program?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What drew you to our program? Why did you choose our program over other programs out there?
Yeah, so for me, right now I'm trying to pursue a career change and you know, and I wanted to go into a master's program that, allowed me to have, like you said, accessibility and flexibility. And I just did some bunch of research and I came to the conclusion that, the Gies Online program is the right fit for me because, UIUC is, the stats say, says itself, they're very well renowned and that's why I want to learn. I want to learn from the best, and that's why I picked it.
Awesome. It's great to hear. Now talking about stackability. So even though today we are going to spend a lot of time on the iMSA program, I do want to note that, like I mentioned before, we try to reach learners wherever they are in the educational journey. So some of you may look at, hey, you know what? I really want to just take a free online course, or what we call MOOCs, or massive online open courses. And so these are non-credit courses that you can take through Coursera, which we partner with Coursera to offer our courses on their platform. And so this is kind of just if you want to just get into it and get to learn a little bit about for accounting, for example, right? Without worrying about earning a grade in the class, right? Or credit. And so you can do that. It's kind of like a textbook of that course. And you can take that and stack it into a 4 credit University of Illinois course, and we'll get into the meat of the course here further down the presentation. And then from there, you can take that course and you can stack it into a graduate certificate. Maybe you don't want to make a commitment to an entire program. You can do a grad certificate. And then once you earn that grad certificate, you can stack it into the iMSA, the IMBA, or MSM. For this presentation, the iMSA, for example. Once you finish the iMSA, eventually you can stack that into the IMBA if you want to continue your educational journey. Now, we do offer several graduate certificates, through our 3-degree programs. They are transcriptable certificate upon completion. And so there's a brief application process. And again, you can stack these into any of our 3-degree programs. But for the sake of accounting, we do have accounting, data analytics, foundations, CPA pathways, as well as taxation. And so, like I said, if you do not want to make a commitment to a full-fledged program, these are definitely some options to start off with, and then you can stack into the iMSA later in your educational journey. Here's a couple of quick facts I wanted to touch base. And so the tuition costs, the total cost includes tuition and fees. This is for the program in its entirety, okay? That range, it really depends on the elective coursework, and I touch on the curriculum here, and so that can range in terms of cost. Now, it's a pay-as-you-go program, and I feel like that's another benefit of the program, where you don't have to pay the cost up front. You don't have to pay, half of the program or what have you. If you're registered for one course the first 8 weeks, you just pay for that one course, right? And so it's a pay-as-you-go program. There's some flexibility. Students have up to 5 years to complete the program. And so, some students can complete it in 18 months. You can extend it to 36 months, but if you need more time, you have up to 5 years. So we really try to make sure, we have that flexibility in place to fit your schedule and your needs. And again, there's 3 start dates, right? And so January, May, and August. So that adds some flexibility there as well. When did you begin, Suwan? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I began in January 2023. That's when I started.
Got it. Awesome. And so just kind of give you an idea of the experience of our students in the program. Average years is 10 years of experience, right? So we have a range of professionals And so, as you see, the average age is 37. So the majority of our students are going to be those seasoned professionals, right? We have career changers like Suwan. We have a few folks that are kind of new to the profession, right? And so, so it's a great way to just connect with folks from different sectors. We have, several U.S. territories and countries represented as well. And again, just 82 different Fortune 100 companies represented. So, like I said, just a ton of experience that's out there. And so, once you talked about that career change, so what type of professional experience did you have when you applied to the program?
So prior to this program, I did an undergrad in media. So I did a lot of live sports production, and also I did some social work on the side as well. So so a little bit, not really related to accountancy, but yeah, that's what I did prior to be accepted into the iMSA program.
Awesome. And then lastly, I just want to touch on, what's the value, right, of our program? What are students saying about our program? Clearly, Suwan is here. He'll talk about his experience. But just looking at some data over the last year or so, so our students have been highly satisfied with the program, right? Several of our students have received promotions or new job offers or what have you while they're in the program, and they've also received pay increases. So the return on investment, we purposely designed our program to make sure, again, like it's relevant to industry and that students are able to take what they learn in the classroom and apply that information immediately within their work. So we feel really good that students are pretty satisfied with our program. So the curriculum consists of 32 credit hours that students are required to complete, and 20 of those that you can see on the screen are our core courses. So our core curriculum kind of just covers right the basis of accounting. So you had a 1 and 2 coursework, the managerial, auditing, federal taxation. So all those courses are required. Okay, and those are 4 credit hour courses. And so the electives, there's 12 credit hours, and that can range, right? Some courses can be 2 credit hours, some can be 4, or what have you, or higher. And so it depends on what you want to go into or what you want to learn. And so some folks may want to go into the data analytics field, right? And so there are some courses that may want to kind of go that route in terms of what you're looking to study. So there's some flexibility there in terms of what courses you would like to take. So 12 elective hours there. So it's not necessarily like lockstep. So I think it's just a benefit to our program as well. And so, so Suwan, just you started in January. Can you talk about like the return on investment? Like how have you applied like the content of your course like to your professional work?
I would say, hopefully, I mean, this is a good return on my investment because my ultimate goal is to, get a job as an accountant. So this will definitely help me to apply what I learned from this program into my future job as well.
Great, great. And then so have you worked with any like groups on group projects or what have you so far?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Pretty much every class I have done group projects, so that's almost a requirement. Yeah.
Great, great. And we'll touch a little bit more on that here shortly. But just wanted to give you just kind of like a general overview of the curriculum and the core curriculum and the electives. And like I mentioned before, we have some new classes starting spring of 2024. And then you'll receive guidance and direction through our advisors, which I'll touch on here in the presentation as well. So within our online degree program, so even though we have that I, we get that question all the time. What does the I mean? This basically mean the method of delivery only, right? And so this is something that we just consistently have across the board of our 3 degree programs. And so it's not noted on the transcript. You will not see this on your degree at all. It's just like I said, our method of delivery. Um, and so you will receive your actual official diploma from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. It will say Master's of Science in Accountancy, but it won't say online or will have the I designation there um, as well. It's just a way that we separate our online program from our residential program. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. And so I talked a little bit about online by design and making sure we had the infrastructure in place. And I think one of the things that kind of separates us from a lot of programs out there is not only do we have an asynchronous component, which every online program has, but a lot of programs don't have the high engagement component piece to it. And so the asynchronous component on the left-hand side is basically like your textbook of the class. And so there's, different ways that you can kind of just get the content, whether it's videos or quizzes or assignments or what have you. Then you had a high engagement component, which on a weekly basis for every single class, there's going to be like a live weekly, not only a lecture, but maybe some group work within that. And so, Siwan, have you attended any of the live sessions, which are not required, by the way? And so how was your experience with those live sessions?
Yeah, so with the live sessions, I have attended them. I think it's as close as it will get to like an in-person environment. And you get to meet your professor, and then you meet your other students that are in your class. And which will help you network and connect with them. And also you touched on it, like, if you can't attend any of the live sessions, it's fine because they will record and then you can access to it, like I believe the next day or even like a couple of hours after. So
Have you felt like how were you able to like balance like the asynchronous piece, like the Coursera kind of like textbook with the like high engagement? How have you been able to balance those two?
for me, what's great about this program was, so there's a period before the week before classes start called the soft launch period. So you get access to your classes on Canvas and Coursera. So what I would recommend to like get a head start on your Coursera work, so which is basically the textbook, and then you can also look up Canvas and just get a good glimpse of what's there to come, and then just make sure you just keep steady on your work. Don't fall behind because it can snowball on you. So you need to have some balance. Yeah, exactly.
Great, awesome. Yeah, get advice because yeah, the coursework can be rigorous, and like you said, Suwon said, you can fall behind. And if you have challenges or issues, there's team projects, group projects. There's faculty office hours. If you need to connect with faculty, there's peer-driven discussion and tutoring. And so, Suwon, have you taken any advantage or need to have taken any advantage of peer-driven discussion or faculty office hours?
Yes, I have done multiple office hours sessions during one of my classes, and then that's like you have like a session with your professor or like an assistant to the professor, and if you have any questions, they'll be more than willing to help you, learn and help you get answer some questions that you may have.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And so at the beginning of correct me if I'm wrong, see why at the beginning of each class or semester, are you all required to kind of fill out your availability when it comes to like group work? So they try to kind of pair you with folks in similar time zones if possible.
Oh yeah, yes. What they do is, so you sign a form, and then to basically say when are you available. And then, like, for example, like I'm available 5 through 9, Monday through Friday. So the program will pair up with other students that are very similar to your availability. And that's how they do it. And it's a very, very helpful way you know, to pair up into groups in your courses.
Awesome. And that's just another way to kind of really connect, like with students within the program, as well. And so kind of going back to what Sunwan was talking about, you have the live session, you have the professor who may do like a mini lecture and then could break you all into like small groups into Zoom rooms and maybe tackle an advanced project or a case study or a question that may be posed or what have you. Does that sound kind of right, Suwon?
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. Yeah.
Awesome. And so, we kind of just mentioned what we said before. There's some photos of some of our fabulous professors that are out there within the program. We have, like I said, a really strong teaching and learning staff. We have curriculum designers. So we have a full-fledged program, over 250 faculty and staff amongst our three online degree programs that are, behind the scenes. We have folks that are IT folks that are helping faculty, making sure IT is running correctly and smoothly and efficiently or what have you. As you can see, kind of the picture in the top left corner by the words faculty session there, that's a person that is monitoring the classroom, making sure things are running smoothly and so forth. So we put a lot of work into obviously with our, best and brightest faculty, but also behind the scenes to make sure things are running pretty smoothly. So um, any like questions that you feel, Suwon, that students typically have in like these live sessions?
Um, I mean, I guess some typical questions would have to just be with the typical course of the what we're learning currently in the live session. Like, and then what's great is like there's in the Zoom meeting, you can either raise your hand, there's a raise hand button symbol so that the professor will notice and will call on you and to ask your question. Or you can just, if you feel a little bit, I don't know, shy, you can always use the chat and then to ask your questions, and then like an assistant professor can always answer what your question as well.
Awesome. And I hear that some of the professors, even though it's not required, but some of the professors really encourage students to turn on their camera, during like the live session. And it's not required because we don't know what folks have going on at home. It could be a child in the background, what have you. But I heard that they really encourage students to try to engage as much as possible within the live session. So great. Have you had any exams or, how are you like assessed so far in your classes?
So for exams, I would just say the easiest way to explain it is for all my classes, they were open note. So you have access to your notes that you have taken throughout your course. But I will say that, it's obviously the exam is timed, but you can't just fully rely on your notes. You gotta learn what you're learning in your course because you don't want to fumble your way through the test and waste valuable time. So it's a nice resource to have, obviously open notes, but don't underestimate exams because it can get a bit overwhelming if you don't retain what you learned throughout the course.
Awesome. Good advice. And so I feel like another strong suit of our program is the opportunity to network, right? And so, like I said, most of our students are professionals. And so I think it attributes to the data that I showed earlier about job promotions and things of that nature. And a lot of that has to do with networking while you're in the program. And so, people always ask, how do I connect virtually, right? Sometimes, there's that fear of like being out there alone, kind of like on this island in my home, and that's it, right? And so we have a very, very active student body. And so there's a couple of ways that students can get connected, whether it's through some formal ways that we offer through Gies that are Gies-led opportunities, or there are some student-led opportunities, right, that can be very informal. And so there's a list, as you can see on the slide deck, of ways to really get connected. And we'll kind of go through majority of these here as well. And so, Sungwon, have you connected, through meetups or immersions or through class projects or anything to that effect?
Unfortunately, not yet, but I would love to. If anyone's in Georgia, I mean, I would love to meet up, but so far it hasn't happened yet. But I wish it will.
And so one of the ways through like immersion opportunities. And so these are just ways to take what you learn in the classroom, right, and apply these in real life situations, projects or what have you. And so this is a picture of our Seattle immersion event. I think it was last year. And so they actually worked on some projects and initiatives for the new NHL expansion team in Seattle. And so they got a chance to really just, apply what they learned in the classroom and present to those executives of that professional franchise. But at the same time, there's opportunity for them to like enjoy the culture of Seattle, right? Just a way for some folks to be like, hey, you know what? I'm been online. I want to get out and meet people and engage, and at the same time take a course as well. So these are what these immersion opportunities are like. We just had a group come from Brazil, I think in the end of July. And so we had students in Houston this year. And so it varies. So we have in-person immersion opportunities, and we also have virtual immersion opportunities. And so it can vary. These are additional costs to the program. So these are not included into the tuition. So I do want to make that clear. And they can range from probably a couple $100 to a couple $1,000, depending on where the immersion event is held. But again, this is a great way to network with your fellow peers. There will be students in the IMBA program, parties, immersion events as well. And so you can connect with folks in other programs and meet executives from different corporations or what have you. And so that's one way. Another way, which is one of my favorite events, is the iConverge event. And so yeah, that is something that will actually happen next week. And so last year we had over 500 students and alumni attend iConverge. And so basically this is like a 3-day, it could be a 4-day, professional development event that happens on campus, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And so last year, the numbers, you can see the numbers. It was so awesome just to connect with fellow learners, meet with, leadership, folks like myself, but the faculty and staff, right? I think I highlight is meeting each other and networking with each other as well. I know the next one is next week. And so I think a few weeks back, we had already 450 students sign up and alumni sign up. I'm sure that number has surpassed 500 by now. So it's a very, very popular event. And it only costs $100 to actually register for the event. And then you cover your costs, transportation and hotel and so forth. But this year theme is revolving around careers, right? And so there's going to be a lot of sessions and networking opportunities that's revolving around careers. And then students also get a chance to like have fun, right? To go out to like local establishments within Champaign-Urbana and like attend a football game on Saturday or what have you. So this is another way to really just connect with folks that just come into iConverge as well. So, and so Suman, have you had experience, digging into like workplace at all?
Yes. So I have signed up for workplace, and then you get to see, your fellow, either alumni, your fellow students, posting what they've been up to, and it's really nice. It's also another good way to, connect with your fellow students and network with them as well.
Definitely. And this is one way as well that, when it comes to like networking and job advice and so forth, we have several professionals that are hiring managers within one of the three programs, right? And so not only are you're not restricted to just connecting with folks in the IMSA, but our IMSM program, our grad certificates, our IMBA program. And so you can get into workplace and just connect with various folks. And if you have questions or advice on networking or, resume writing, interviewing tips or what have you, this is a great place to connect. And there's, different groups, there's like a group for working moms on here, what have you. And so, for example, there's various groups where you can kind of stay connected that way. Like I mentioned before, we have very like active student body. And so student meetups, we have nothing to do with that. Our students will set up meetups on their own. And so these are just some examples of locations where students will meet up. And so a lot of times it's kind of through workplace or what have you. Also through LinkedIn, students will say, "Hey, I'm in this location. Are there any other folks in this location that I would love to like meet up with, just to get to know learners within my geographic location or what have you." And so that's just one way students can kind of get connected within the program. And so there's that opportunity, to kind of stay connected and meet up or what have you. So what I mentioned earlier before, so I talked a little bit about the curriculum. We talked a little bit about outside the classroom, how students get connected. I do want to kind of touch on just briefly about how students can get the support they need throughout the program. And so we do have a dedicated student and academic success team, just strictly for our online students. And so this is a great way to receive guidance and direction on degree requirements, policies. Like I said, we have it's a very flexible program in terms of like duration. And so for some students may have to take a break for 8 weeks. Life happens. Some may have kids or something with their job where it's like, oh goodness, it's a very, very busy time. And so that's when you work with work with one of the student academic success advisors to kind of, help you plan, the time frame to complete the degree program, or if you need to take an 8 week, session off, that's where you will connect with your advisor. But there's different ways to connect with them. You can do express advising if you just have like a quick question. But if you needed a more, in-depth, you had more in-depth questions and you need a longer meeting, you can set up, one-on-one appointments. But there's open office hours as well. So you're not out there alone trying to figure out like what class I need to pair together, right? You may not be a strong quantitative learner, so right, so you can check with our advisors to make sure that you're not registering for two quantitative classes at the same time or what have you. And so there's even more support as well. So I think that kind of separates us from some programs that are out there where you're just asynchronous, you're doing it by yourself, there's no support out there. We do want to make sure that support is in place. Have you taken Have you taken advantage of any of the support?
Yes. Even when I first got accepted, I immediately scheduled with an advisor to help schedule my degree plan, and because it was a little bit overwhelming to try to like do it by myself, but they were very helpful. They kind of accommodated to my needs. Like sometimes there's like one semester I'm gonna be like, I don't know, this is quite a lot, so they help you. They're very accommodating of that. So that's why I appreciate about this advising team as well.
Awesome. Good to hear. And so I'm going to switch gears and just kind of talk a little bit about like the application requirements for the program. And so there's a resume that is required. We don't need, a 4 or 5, 6 page resume. For some of you may have 20 years of experience, right? And so maybe a 1-2 page resume will be suffice. We want to make sure your resume kind of just lines up with what's on your application. So I think that's the big piece there. And so academic history, you want your, all your transcripts, from undergrad. If you have a grad degree from somewhere else, we need that transcript as well. I know for some institutions that are overseas or international institutions, we want those mark sheets, and those mark sheets have to be in English for our staff to be able to evaluate. And so there's an academic statement, which is a 300 to 500 word statement that addresses some different questions that are noted in the application. And there's a short answer personal statement as well, with the maximum of 250 words that address. You have 2 to 4 questions in the application that they can address. And so this is something new that we've added as well through our graduate college. So there's 2 recommendation forms. And so basically when you fill out your application, you would just list 2 recommenders, like their name, email, phone number. We'll send them the email and they will fill out a recommender form. They also had the option to write a letter, a recommendation as well. So we just need two of those. And then there are some test scores that are required for international applicants, whether it's TOEFL or Duolingo. I kind of lean more towards Duolingo. It's cheaper and it's can get to us faster. But there's a waiver essay. So if you've maybe lived in the U.S. or certain countries for so many years, or you attended an institution within the last 2 or 3 years, or worked in the U.S., there's that potential to have those exams waived um, as well. And then there's no GRE or GMAT required. But if you happen to take the GRE or GMAT and you feel like your scores are really strong scores, you can submit those scores, and that will be another data set that will be part of the review process. And then there's prereq coursework. And so students will need a business management course and at least one course of principles of accounting, like the sequence. And so those are the two courses, and you will see that listed within the application, what we're requiring. And there's like a little form that you fill out to show that you fulfill that prereq course requirement. And then there's a scholarship essay as well. And so with the scholarship essay, basically you just want to see how, it's based on financial need, but as well as inclusion in terms of how you're mentoring folks for mentorship or within the community, and so how are you fostering being inclusive within your community or through a mentorship program or what have you. So and again, this is also part of financial assistance, and so we have that scholarship through Coursera, a partner with Coursera to offer a scholarship. Very competitive, but it's like a handful of scholarships that would cover like 70% cost of the program. And then lastly, we have the performance-based admission track. And so for some students, the admission committee may not feel that students are ready for the full-fledged program. And so we offer another pathway into the full-fledged program, and it's through this performance admission-based track. And so you'll take, two courses either concurrently or within 2 consecutive semesters. And so typically, actually, I can tell you the courses: Accounting 501, which is Accounting and Analysis 1. You'll take that course, and you would take either Accounting 503, which is Managerial Accounting, or Accounting 505, which is Federal Taxation. And so you must complete these courses. You must earn a cumulative of a 3.0 GPA, meaning you must receive a B or higher in both courses, right? And so once you do, then you're automatically put into the full-fledged program. Now, you won't lose any time because these classes are still part of the program classwork. So that's something to keep in mind. For some students may feel that they're not ready for the full-fledged program, so they choose to apply to the performance-based admission track. So that is an option for students. So just wanted to share that. And then just briefly, here's our application review process. And so, we will have folks reach out to you to make sure all your materials are in. Once everything is complete, you receive an email to interviews, like a 15 to 20-minute interview. Suwon, how was your interview?
It was good. I had an interview with Kate Deering, and then she asked a question. It was a very chill environment, so I think you know you have nothing to really worry about, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of my job is the interview, because I get a chance to connect with students from all over the world and just get to know them a little bit. And so we typically will ask questions revolving around like your interest in the program. So making sure, right, you do some type of research on our program. Why did you decide to pursue a graduate degree? Why did you decide to pursue our particular program? Maybe talk about overcoming adversity, working in group, gives us examples of working in a group setting. And then also, making sure that you have the time commitment, for this degree program. So those are some of the questions that we asked within the 15 to 20-minute interview. So fairly short interview. And so then in terms of application, and so, if you're interested in the program, I would say apply by October 5th. There's no application fee. Of course, there's a lot of benefits for applying October 5th. We have additional deadlines, for spring later on throughout this year. And so, but some of these benefits will drop off the closer it gets to applying. So definitely the scholarship consideration is the big one. So if you want to be considered for a scholarship, I would say you need to apply by October 5th. I think after that option will not become available. So, and then again, just a quality program, quality of faculty, alumni network and resources, flexibility, affordability, our course structure. I mentioned all this, and a big reason why it'd be great to choose, Gies, in particular the iMSA program. So we're happy that you all came today. And so what I'm going to do is, before I stop sharing, if you want an opportunity to look at our contact information, and then here's a QR code. Again, if you have questions, you can definitely put your phone up on the screen and select that QR code or what have you. But I'm going to stop sharing. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the Q&A or the chat. I know it is 4:47, so we have another session coming up at 5 o'clock, but we'll want to get in at least, one or two questions if possible. And it looks like we have a question in the chat. So this is questions regarding the iMBA program. No, that's fine. So many questions. Let's see. Well, the big thing is making sure you have your GPA is a 3.0 cumulative GPA. I'm gonna see if you put that on there. And so what I mentioned in the application process is making sure, it's a holistic review process. And so, we're gonna look at your GPA. We're gonna look at your letters of recommendation, your personal statements, and your interview. So all what I mentioned, we're gonna look at those collectively. And so it doesn't matter in regards to undergrad degree program. And so for performance-based, for example, do I have to have performance-based require any prereq courses? I have a math, iMSA, and biology. So yeah, so you will have to have some prereq courses, the foundations course and the business, the accounting course as well. So, but in terms of the first question, it's not necessarily I'm going backwards. I'm kind of going back up. It's not necessarily a disadvantage if you have graphic design as your background. The biggest thing for the iMBA is you need at least 3 years of professional work experience. That's going to be the biggest piece of it. And so if you don't have that, then you won't be able to get into the program. But if you do, we're not going to ding you because your undergrad degree is in another major. We're going to look at your professional work experience as being probably the top factor within the program. So, so we do have a business minor, and so yes, there's preferred admission if you're an undergrad student at UIUC and you're a business minor. They're not for the iMBA program, but for the iMSM program. And so for the iMSM program, there's an advantage of business minor, and you can stack that into the iMBA program. Our online MBA, what is happening? That's a really great question. It happens for not only the MBA, the MSA, and the MSM. And so, for example, with our MSA, we actually, um, you know, chatted with folks from the Big Four, and we wanted, and as they were excited about Illinois offering an IMSA program, IMBA program, because of our structure, our curriculum, and the way that we design our program. And so, yes, we have several students that are in great positions, and then when they earn the MBA or the MSA, they are definitely getting promotions, like I mentioned before. And so, most when we hear from employers, because we require at least 3 years of professional work experience, when students hear when employers hear that our students earn their MBA or MSA, they don't look at it, as a disadvantage. Actually, in most cases, it's an advantage because our students are able to connect and work and interact with folks across various industries and various geographic backgrounds. A lot of residential programs, it's going to be students that are kind of local to the area. And so I think advantage of an online MBA, whether it's Illinois or another program, is a variety of folks that are in the program and a variety of people that are not only from a diverse background, whether it's racially, geographically, whether it's professionally. More and more employers are loving it, and you're starting to see more and more schools offering online specialized programs like the IMSA or the MBA as well. I don't have that number in terms of the average GPA, but we accepted about 60% of our students into the program. And again, the biggest thing is we're transparent. So we put out there, if you have 3 years work experience, a 3.0 GPA, you have, letters of recommendations, the chance of getting accepted are pretty high. So. Yeah, thank you for adding that. Yeah, we need to fulfill the same prereqs. Making me down via Coursera. So great questions. I think we have time for just one more, and then we have to hop off for another presentation. Anything else, Amy, that may be a topic?
Sorry, I was having trouble with my mic here. No, I think you covered everything. I'm just gonna throw some links in the chat. Our website's a really great resource for anything that you've discussed. But no, I think you've covered everything.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you can throw those links in, and then yeah, we had a recording out, and be happy to answer questions you may have in the future. So thank you all so much for attending, and I hope this is informative, and I hope you learn a little bit more about the IMSA program to help you make an informed decision to apply or not. So thanks, Suwon, so much for being here as well. Really appreciate your input and your advice from a student perspective. And thank you, Amy, as well. So, well, everyone, enjoy. If it's morning, night, afternoon, take care.